Wait, there we go. Hi. Hello. This is the Hybrid Fish. My name is Patrick, and welcome. I'm using my front cam today because I'm not supposed to be doing this. Shh, don't tell. And my head is a mess. I wish I would have went live like after I had done it, but after I did my hair, it was like a few days of just like I don't even know where my hair thing went. So it's like I deep conditioned it, I combed it out, I did all this stuff to just sleep on it. I'm like, oh well, it is what it is. And I was looking like real handsome the other day. I was going to use my front camera. I think the last time I went live, or like before that, and I was like, oh, okay, like looking decent today. I have those days sometimes where I'm just like extra infatuated with myself for some reason. But anyway, it's been a really interesting time. Yesterday I wanted to come live, and like I didn't, but I didn't. Right? These are barely salted, dry roasted peanuts. And like I said, I'm not really supposed to be doing this, so we'll see if anything comes out. And I don't need this, but um, yesterday was like, take a rest day. Don't do any work. Don't pull any cards. Don't go live. Don't even watch, all those readings that you've been watching. And it's not that I necessarily watched too many readings, but it was just like, today's the day to take a step back. And I'm sitting in my room like, take a step back. What do you mean? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I didn't feel like playing any games. Oh my gosh, my third eye is just like, it's starting to get like really intense, but in a way that it hasn't been before. And it's kind of sort of, it almost low key sometimes feels like there's like something like trying to like burrow into like that area, but maybe instead of burrowing in, it's like burrowing out. And I never thought about it like that until I like literally just said it. um but it's like, just enjoy the day. Like, don't think about this, don't think about that, as best as you can. And just like enjoy today. Do something that you enjoy today. Take it easy. And so I'm like, take it easy. What am I supposed to do? So I watched this movie. I've been into aliens for the past like 2 days. Kind of, sort of, not really. Um, but I watched this movie called Cosmos on Hulu. I think it was on Hulu. It was either on Hulu or Amazon Prime Instant Video. It might have been Amazon Prime. Because I might have been like, oh, I haven't watched this in a while. I don't know. Anyway, I watched it somewhere. And it was a very long movie that was a little cheesy. And there were these moments where I'm just like, where are you pulling these hats from? Like literal hats. Like, where did this literal hat come from? Or did you just come prepared? But I guess it also speaks to, on another level, sometimes, there are times when you feel led to do something or grab something that you don't necessarily know why you'll need it, or it may not necessarily make sense for you to grab it, but then something happens and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is the moment, this is what I grabbed this for. And so you have that hat in your back pocket to pull out. Right, we're extending hats to people now instead of cups apparently in this movie. um but and then I'm like, oh, I still don't know what to do. That only killed like an hour. I have so much time. And so I ended up watching an episode of Bob's Burgers, and it was the episode where, they forced Bob to have a day off. And I was like, oh my gosh, if this is not my life right now, And instead of taking a day off, like Bob went to go work somewhere else. And then at the end of his day off, Bob was like, you know what? I love working. So, like, is that a crime? But he was going to get burned out. And so they were like, oh, you need to go. Um, what am I talking about? I got the 3 Kims today. I was going to use the SKT and stuff because I have those already out. I just left them out. And that's one of the like beautiful things about, I guess, excuse me deciding to, well, first I told my mother and then my father found out. And my brother, he saw me on my old channel, so he already knows. But like some of the stuff I can just leave out, you know. Oh, I forgot that the lover is at the top of the deck. No, I didn't see that. It'll adjust. There she is. There she is. The lover. Oh, I should have grabbed this book. But yeah, I don't too much necessarily want anything. I've been feeling, I think lunar eclipses low key F with my sleep cycles because it was like the month leading up to the first lunar eclipse. I was like not sleeping. And then the solar eclipse happened, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like no, it was after the lunar eclipse. After the lunar eclipse, I could sleep. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can sleep. And then the solar eclipse happened. And honestly, I haven't too much been feeling anything outside of like weird, like third eye stuff. And then one day I went live and it was like my throat started to go, my third eye was going, like my whole head started to just feel like it was like pressure building up and congested. I was like, ooh, this is interesting, but I'm not gonna stop. So, you know. But it's like it's reaching that point where my sleep is being affected again. And I'm like, is it because like we have this lunar eclipse coming up that I can't sleep again? It's like literally what the night before last. I went to bed at like 7 something in the morning because I couldn't sleep. And then I woke up at like 10 something. Or like I woke up before that. But I finally gave up on trying to sleep at like 11 and I got out of bed. Just like, and then last night, it's like I feel like I'm not really resting. But my dreams haven't been like, because sometimes I'll have these dreams. Oh, it's 11:12. Missed it by a minute, but 12:12 on my computer. So I still got that. And I just want to check Time Nomad because I think Venus is going to be going direct in a few hours. I'm trying to check this out and see if y'all can see any details about me. And you can't. Look at all those retrograde planets. Look, you see all those retrograde planets? Girl, we got Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, Pallas, Lilith, and Icarus. And that Lilith, is that Black Moon Lilith? That might be Black Moon Lilith. But Black Moon Lilith, I don't think she was retrograde last night. Was she? Did she just go retrograde? Yeah, she was retrograde. She was already retrograde. And that may be actual Lilith and not Black Moon Lilith. So like there's I guess there's an asteroid named Lilith or some kind of planetoid, I don't know, asteroid. But then there's also like Black Moon Lilith, and there's a difference between the two. Um excuse me. Let's see, chart details. Yeah, that's like actual Lilith. That's not the Black Moon. Because I want to check Venus because I think Venus goes direct here pretty soon. So we'll have one planet that's not retrograde, but she will be in that post shadow, y'all. So maybe we shouldn't get too excited. Mars is at 28 degrees Pisces, so almost exactly squaring the nodes, which is cute. The nodes are at 29 degrees 5 minutes. Where's Venus? Ooh, the moon is in Leo right now, which means the moon is about to go into Virgo. I don't know what Virgo moon mean. They don't really too much mean nothing for me. I guess it would be trying to my moon, but I don't know what that. I don't know if I've never necessarily felt that aspect. So 2 hours and 34 minutes. 234. Look at that. Venus goes direct in 2 hours and 34 minutes. from the time of recording, obviously. Um, and so, at least she'll be direct. Everything else will still be retrograde. Neptune just went retrograde yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And then we'll be having this lunar eclipse. And we're actually gonna have um two new moons in Cancer this cycle. Because we had a new moon in Cancer as soon as the sun slid into Cancer. Remember, 0 degrees? Yeah. We're gonna have another new moon in Cancer. We kind of sort of had two new moons in Gemini, but we didn't get that exact conjunction. But people say we're gonna have two new moons in Cancer. And I know when you have two full moons in the same month, they call the second one the blue moon. I don't know what you call the second new moon. Hmm, I don't know if they even have a word for it, but that's some of the astrology right now. Um, it's interesting because it almost feels like so planets go retrograde because is it because they move too fast? I literally just like because on my little time nomad app, I didn't know that like I don't really use the dashboard too much. I just look at the current trends in planets. So um but if you click it, they'll like give you a little blurb about what each planet in retrograde means. And I think it's because of how the Earth is positioned, it's like if the planets go too far, sort of outside of our view or whatever, then they'll kind of sort of backtrack a little bit. Actually, let me just get in there and read it. Also, I used my voice today, and I remember when I was talking to my buddy. I talk about him all the time, and it would have been almost a year ago because we like met up IRL in May. So I almost did this thing where I was like, "Oh my gosh, I met you a year ago, and you completely changed my life. Like, I'm so glad you came into my life because I've learned and grown so much, and you were such like, even though we only had a summer together, you were such a good friend." I should have, but I can very much be that type of person. Um, let's see. But that's one thing that I appreciate about the person that I've become is that I've really allowed myself to tell the people in my life, like, you're somebody that, like, especially if they felt me grow, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've grown so much because of you, and I'm so thankful and so appreciative of your presence in my life. Like, thank you. And I mean it. So, what are retrogrades? All planets that share the same rotational axis, the Sun, with the Earth do retrograde from time to time. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, etc. Being the rotational axis itself, the Sun is always direct as seen from the Earth. The Moon is always direct too as it rotates around the Earth. On the other hand, okay, well, that did not help me. So, physics of the retrograde, here we go. For certain periods of time, a planet, as observed from Earth, may slow down and start moving backwards. This retrograde movement is due to the difference in angular speeds of the Earth and the planet. That is, the retrograding planet doesn't change neither speed nor direction. Rather, the Earth starts to overtake that planet at certain combination of bends of planets' orbits. When the period of retrograde movement is over, the planet turns direct. That did not help me. So let's try to break it down. Um, so angular rotation speeds, right? A difference in angular speed is what causes it. It's also because of where we sit right now, like on this planet. So that is the retrograding planet doesn't change neither speed nor direction. So the planet doesn't change speed or direction, but the Earth overtakes the planet at certain combinations of bends of orbits. Because I guess like the orbits are elliptical, like they're not perfect circles. And so maybe on the ends of the orbit, it'll like when you enter that like space, it gets weird or something. I don't know. Like in the sky, if we look at the solar system, nothing truly retrogrades, right? But from our Earthen perspective, it does. So I wonder if on like Mercury, like planets are just like constantly retrograde, or if it's angular rotation, or if it's angular speed, then that may be different. Mm, I'm not an astrophysicist, but the dude in the movie was. He's like, it's a pulsar. He's like, it's not a pulsar. I know what a pulsar sounds like. Why is everyone so mean to me? It's like, y'all, I'm just like, I feel like low key, as more and more time progresses, it's like I'm ready to move. Like, I'm ready to bust out. I'm ready to do something. But I get these, like, wait, calm down, be patient. And I'm like, girl, like, I've gotten really, really, really good at pretending like patience is my thing. It's a virtue that I have acquired in some ways. But when I was young, I was extremely impatient. Extremely impatient. I'm grabbing the Animal Spirits Oracle cards right now, and I'm flipping them all upright. When I was young, I was extremely impatient, but I learned how to sort of like fake it until I made it. Right? Have I made it? And it would start with simple things like, when I went to college, it was like if I'm on campus and I'm going somewhere, like if there's no traffic, but the light is still red, I'll wait until the little walk sign comes up, even if there aren't any cars coming, because it was a minor way for me to practice patience in my day to day life. Um, and so, like, I would just do things like that, be slower. Like, if somebody cut me in line, even though I would be raging and fuming on the inside, I just wouldn't say anything. And people do it all the time, especially over the summer when you got little kids in the dining court and they just be cutting you. I'm like, ooh. But part of me is just like, you know what? I got my little vacation fund up there. My vacation fund might turn into a runaway fund here pretty soon. And I got a credit for a ticket because I'm not going to Vegas this summer. So like my one-way ticket is already purchased. I got a little bit of money. I'm pretty adaptable, pretty flexible. And if I go somewhere, if I decide to move, Spirit is gonna have to help me because they're not gonna let me like just float out there and die, right? Hopefully. But it's I'm just reaching that point where I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready for something new. And I've lived that moth. Moths have been like not a message, but they've kind of sort of been popping up. And the moth was the challenge. The first time I used these cards. What did the moth speak of? I actually have it. Oh. And I was gonna do a reading that I've done, like in my little app thing. Dreams for me have been random. Um, I feel like there's also been a lot more conversation. And the conversation, and I've kind of sort of talked about it before, but it almost sort of happens in tarot cards because the cards speak to energy. And since they speak to energy, they sort of speak to realms of it's like instead of, like having this entire sort of like movie play out in my head or having this entire dialogue, you can throw me a card and I'll know exactly, what it is. And so it's almost like it lines up these cards. And I was like, okay, because then it forms a picture. And I remember because I took a nap, or I tried to nap. I can't even nap, really. I try. I'm trying to get sleep. Um, ooh, the wolf and the gazelle. Y'all don't even live in the same place. Wolves got too much fur. They would burn up. Oh, but then there was the lion. The lion and the wolf, though. The lion, the wolf, and the wardrobe, right? Um, I'm just gonna shuffle these. And bottom of the deck is going to be the mouse. The lion and the mouse. Y'all remember that? Um, it was like an Eight of Swords and an Eight of Cups. And I can't remember. Like that's the like I feel like I'm such an active participant when I have these dreams. They're not even like dreams fully. Um but what am I talking about? What am I saying? There was an Eight of Cups, Eight of Swords, and an Eight of Cups. But the Eight of Swords, like it came to my mind as an Eight of Swords, and I'm listening to my peaceful meditations playlist. Um, but it didn't really feel like it. But I guess it was an Eight of Swords from the perspective of like, I know that this is an illusion. I know that this entrapment isn't real. So it was an Eight of Swords, but it felt less real than an Eight of Swords might feel. Because the Eight of Swords ultimately is always like, it's when our mind sort of works against us to make us feel that we're trapped in a situation that we're not really trapped in, right? It's the illusion of entrapment. It's feeling trapped, even if the cell door, even if there is no cell. I was going to say, even if the cell door is wide open, but even if there is no cell, right? You could be standing in the middle of a field and feel trapped. Um, And then the Eight of Cups came up. I think it was the Eight of Cups, but it might have been something different. And I think there was a justice energy in there. And I remember when the solar eclipse happened, I got this Six of Wands feeling. And then I woke up just like feeling super victorious for some reason. Like I had actually done something. Like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling good. Like Six of Wands. Yes, like we did it. Um, what else? What was I about to say? I don't know. But it's been a lot of that. More so than actual dreams. And I feel like usually, the lover at the cut with the warrior. I'm a lover and a fighter. I'm both. Like, it's not an either or, right? I'm a huge proponent of like, we can be multiple things. And maybe that's just like the divine feminine energy in me. That's just like, I don't have to be stuck as nurturer. I don't have to be stuck as provider. I don't have to be stuck as, the warrior, the fighter, like Mama Bear. Like Mama Bear is everything. Like she's the nurturer and the sweet, sweet mother. But she will also, tear that up for her kids. And she'll also just be chilling and minding her own business too. She's complex. And I'm complex. Bottom of this deck is the heart. Oh, that's beautiful. Number 31. The heart. Look at this. I don't think I've ever seen this card before. I've never gotten it to come out. The heart. Mm. And it almost looks like a nest around it with some flowers woven in. It's kind of weird, but it's like I'm almost getting a third eye feeling at the top of this. Like right here. Right there. You see that? Like connected to the heart. So we have the mouse and the heart. And then we'll see what's at the bottom of this deck. I don't know what I'm doing with these again. I have no intention because it's not that I'm not supposed to be doing this, but technically I feel like I'm still supposed to be taking a break. But I'm like, what do I do with my time? I could. Oh, I had this dream. I remember that dream. I had a dream that I had moved somewhere. It's this. And I talked about this recently. I had a dream that I moved somewhere. And I'm not gonna pull it out. But I've talked about the sleeping fox on the initiate in the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. And we see this fox is holding, guarding, protecting the seventh sword. And on the full card, she says that, once you begin the journey, then this guardian will wake up. And Ten of Wands, Ace of Wands, and the moon. Then this guardian will wake up. And so I had a dream that I had moved somewhere. And my mom didn't want me to be lonely, so I got a pet. And I remember just like living my life, and I was like, "Oh crap! I have an animal." I was like, "Oh, what if it needs to eat? What if it needs to go outside?" Because I'm just like living my day to day life, and I look over, and it's just like in the kennel or whatever. I can't remember if it was like it gave me like fox energy. It was like a fox. Ooh, cutting to the devil in the moon. You can't even seize the ways you tied up and down in chains. Like it's a very deflective energy. You think it's one thing, but it's actually something else. But with this Eight of Wands, we are getting clarity on exactly what this is. With that lightning bolt, I've been like the Eight of Wands to me is coming to mean either divine intervention or divine understanding. And this may be a little bit of both when it comes to this situation. Um, but I was like, oh my gosh, like, do you need to go out? And it was just in their sleep. Oh, Eight of Wands with this lovers though. Okay, I'm kind of sort of liking this progression. We went from the moon and the devil to the devil and the Eight of Wands to the lovers and the Eight of Wands. So I can see clearly now. I'm just deciding to actually look, you know, because I have this eye thing where it makes it kind of hard for me to see stuff sometimes. And what's super interesting though is like sometimes I find myself not even trying to look. And it's like, oh well, maybe I should actually like try to look. Um, I don't know, it's weird. But ooh, with that Son of Cups, before I cut this deck, now the Ten of Swords. So maybe there was a Son of Cups out there going through a Ten of Swords with this Moon and this Devil, and then this Devil and this Eight of Wands, and then the Eight of Wands and the Lovers, and then we come to the Son of Cups moment. But before that, Bird can really take flight because, oh, nice, I cut right to it. Because in the cup of the Son of Cups, you see that like that dark cup, and in the description, they're like, this card has a kernel of darkness. And then we have this sort of Ten of Swords with this High Priestess. Oh, okay. So under the Son of Cups was the Six of Wands. Victory and change. Victory through transformation. And then we got this High Priestess who was there all along. I'm starting to get this weird feeling. Here come rolling the phlegm. Oof, that did not help. It's like butterflies, like in here and in my throat. Oh, I didn't finish talking about that, did I? Um, but it's like he's finally going through that darkness with this Ten of Swords. That's what's in there. It's kind of sort of what's been preventing him, and it's also I feel like kind of sort of things that have been hidden and suppressed. This is giving me 101 energy. And this is interesting because I was thinking about the 101 earlier, but the 101 would still be the 11 because it's the one with the zero and then the one without a zero. But then it would kind of be 111. Mm. Well, if we do binary, because they talked about binary and cosmos. Um, anyway, it's not about that. I can't remember why I was talking about Nathan earlier, but I remember I was talking to him one day. And I was like, because he has, oh, I ain't trying to put all his tea out there. So let me take that back. But now I'm going to talk about this. And the only reason why that even got brought up in my mind is because I just saw a video of someone talking about some personal stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. Not interesting and like interesting, but interesting because I literally just made a friend, another friend with some very, very similar placements. Um, but he was born a few years later. Oof, I know. I was like, ooh, he's a little young for me. Like, I was 26 at the time, and dude was like 23. And I was like, oh, 23 is young. Like, oh, I don't know about 23. but he's very, very mature for his age, so it works. Um, I actually want to go with the animals first. I don't really use the animals too much, and the animals were that was the first deck I really got comfortable with. Honestly, I used the animals until I worked up the courage to go to the tarot because the tarot scared me. It was like 78 cards. Why? It's. Oof. I don't even think I was watching readings on YouTube at that point either. I wasn't. Huh? What is this? The mouse? Oh, the wolf. What's that song? Na 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 na. I'm on the prowl. I'm after you. It was a line that popped into my head before like the more popular line. That song just popped into my head. I resonate with wolf spirits so much. And I'm trying. Oh, there's the elk and the dragonfly. Love this energy. I'm trying to find out what kind of Native American I am, y'all, because I know my aunt said it was my mom said that one of my aunts said that it was Choctaw, and so on my mother's side, she has it on both her mother's side and her father's side. I just found out that my great grandfather was illiterate. Like he didn't know how to read or write. He knew how to sign his name, but that was like it. And you have to know how to sign your name for like legal stuff, right? But like he passed away a few years ago. So I knew both of my great grandparents. My great grandmother passed when I was a lot younger. Um, and I had a really good relationship. I've always gravitated towards the matriarch in my family, and whoever is most matriarchal in that space is who I gravitate towards, right? So if my mother, my grandmother, and my great grandmother were all in one space, I will gravitate towards my great grandmother, right? And now if my mother and my grandmother are in the same space, I'll gravitate more towards my grandmother, right? And if my grandma's not there, I gravitate towards my mom. I don't know. Um, oh, there's that hummingbird. I've been seeing a lot of hummingbird. With the tarantula, though, you can keep that tarantula side. I appreciate the messages you bring, but I ain't trying to see no tarantulas. Um, but like, I could barely understand him. And he would kind of sort of remind me. I don't know if y'all have ever seen King of the Hill, but he would kind of sort of remind me of Boomhauer from King of the Hill. It's like you can kind of sort of make out words, and he's like, "Hey, baby, how you doing, baby?" I'm like, "What? Look at that dragonfly again with the starfish." Do I have all my cards? Well, this is a lighter deck. Um, but yeah, she said he was illiterate. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that." Because like both of my great grandparents had heavy Native American in them, like heavy on my mother's father's side, and then on my mother's mother's side, there was also Native American. And I know if you go back like multiple generations, there's some like Cherokee back there. And it's interesting because she was like one of my aunts was the family historian, and so she said our several greats grand uncle was actually three-fourths Cherokee and one-fourth Irish. And I was like, how we go from Cherokee and Irish to like African American, slave trade and other stuff. Some of the natives and some of the slaves occupied some of the same spaces earlier in the country, right? Or earlier in the history, and so that's when you get some of that happening. And it's an interesting sort of like history to be. I guess I can't speak for all black people in general, but genetically, it's interesting because I got like oh, yes, the dragon just came out. I never get this card. I never get this card. And it's like the mascot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it would be so cool to get a dragon. I never get it, but it just came out. It just came out. So we got the wolf and the dragon. I'll get one more if it decides to come out. That makes me really excited. And I like dragons, okay? And like I feel like I have more of an Eastern approach to dragons, where you respect their wisdom and you don't go effing with them, and they're like mystical creatures. more so than like the medieval sort of more Western like go and kill them type of energy. Because I don't know, it's like whatever. It's like what's that about? Why we gotta go and kill mystical creatures? Why do we fear? Ooh, the elephant with that deer. Anyway, um, so there's Cherokee and Irish in that. I think on my also on that side, my mother's mother, there's some Blackfoot in there, and then on my mother's father's side is where that Choctaw would be. Anyway, there are people who are still alive, and I'm like, before these people go, can we please ask them what tribe specifically we come from? And so my grandma was here the other day. I was like, "Hey, grandmama, can you do me a favor and like look into this, please? Because I would really like to know." And she's like, "Yeah, last time I said something, they was like, ask Uncle Mac." And I was like, "Uncle Mac? Who's Uncle Mac?" First it was Dia, then it was Dub, Uncle Dub. My great grandfather was Dia. I didn't know my great grandfather was Dia until some of his siblings came for his 80 something or 90th birthday party. I don't remember. It happened within the last decade, I'm sure. Um, and then he came and it was like, "Oh, this is Uncle Dia or Uncle Dub. This is Uncle Dub." And they were saying Dia. And I was like, "Who is Dia?" And they was like, "Oh, Dia is your great grandfather. Like, that's him." I was like, "What?" It was like this whole, like, oh, girl. Okay, wow. Yeah, we're really going there today. Bottom of the deck is this hawk. And hawks and falcons, hawks, falcons, and eagles can all sort of sit in the space of divine messengers or messengers from the divine. So the last card we got is actually the Cosmic Egg, which is very interesting. So we have the wolf, the dragon, and the Cosmic Egg. This is some serious energy on the table, guys. Like some really serious energy. And this is about my genealogy and my genetics, I guess. And she was like, "Oh, Uncle Mac would know." And then I saw so many Macs. I've never heard the name Mac more than I heard in that day. Because I was with my mom and somebody was like, maybe it was on the radio. Maybe we heard somebody because we don't listen to the radio. But I was like, Uncle Mac. Because somebody, I think we were in the store and somebody said Mac. I was like, Uncle Mac. And then I watch Floss the Mac sometimes. He's been part of my quarantine content. He has a lot of CNA videos, certified nursing assistant, I believe. And I've never been a CNA, but I find them entertaining. And I'm like, yeah, I can see this happening. I remember the one time because my mom was like, "Oh, we didn't like not adopt, but we wanted to go to the nursing home and just get closer to one of the people in there. Especially someone if they don't have a lot of family who visits regularly." And so she was like, "Yeah, we'll do this." It only lasted for a few weeks, but like the first time we went there was this one lady, there were these two ladies, and one of the ladies was like, "Hey, like, did your nephew come and visit?" Because he was supposed to come and visit. They were both older. And she was like, "No, of course he didn't visit. Like, why do you think they lock us up in here? Like, they don't care about us." I was like, "Oh." And then one of the people was like, "Hey, like, can you like calm down a little bit?" And she was just that she got triggered. And I guess that's one of the unfortunate things. That's one of the really sad things. It's like we do kind of, some people do kind of sort of put people in facilities and then kind of sort of forget about them a little bit. And she was really triggered that day. I don't know if it was her birthday. I don't know if it was Christmas, if it was some kind of holiday, but she was like, "No, like, why do you think they put us in here? They don't care about us." And then she started to like scream or something. She was like, I can't remember what happened, but she was like, "Something, something, something, or I'll scream and I'll screech." I was like, "Oof." So they wheeled her to the back. But let's just see what kind of sort of comes out. Let's see what kind of sort of comes out. And I'll go in order. So first it'll be for the wolf card. So we'll have an animal and archetype and a few tarot cards, maybe. I don't know. If something decides to come out. I'm kind of sort of just shuffling and talking. Let's say go tarot. Huh. The bridge. What's this? The crone and the bridge. The bridge was left on the table. I forgot to pick it up. I've seen this card so much. I love the water though. Because up top, these are very distinct bands of color. But in the water, you can't really tell. It just kind of sort of looks like a rainbow in the water, right? It's interesting. Take with that, do with that what you will. Bottom of the deck is the crone. I see her all the time too, for reference. Um, but yeah, that's been one thing that I really want to do. And I got my DNA done, and I heard about that a long time ago. And so it was interesting to see both Irish and Native American pop up in my DNA. But I don't know. I kind of sort of love my DNA profile in general because it's so many things that come from so many different places. And like I saw like the Southeast Asian area pop up, and I was like, Southeast Asia, what? Like, where did that come from? Like, who? Like, what? Where? When? How? Let me see. I'm on here right now. Like, I am 85% like African, which is like not surprising, right? 11.3% European and 2.2% East Asian and Native American, and then 0.1% trace ancestry, which was new. But that's like broadly Central and South Asian, so that's more Asian. And then 1% unassigned. So yeah, that like Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines like area, I got some down there. I was like, whoa, where did that come from? The Native American I already know about, like for sure. And that's 1.4%. I kind of sort of wish they broke it down into tribes, but I don't know if you necessarily can. But let's see what this is about. Yeah. And then there's like some Scandinavian. I didn't expect the Scandinavian to pop up. That's my Norse DNA. And then like Spanish and Portuguese popped up. I was like, what? Um, yeah, Scandinavian, and then the British and Irish, of course. Like I knew that would be in there because, but it's just really interesting, I guess, to like get this done and then to see like those stories like actually like wow, like so we really do have like Irish and Native American in us. And like again, I knew the Native American was there because I was fortunate enough to know my great grandparents, like my mother's father's parents, and like you can pretty much look at them and tell. But then I'm like, and I also have a father, so it's not all my mother, I guess. So that's where some of the black comes from. I just saw agape at the bottom. Wow, let me flip these over. Agape is that like love, love. Oh, this came out face down. Oh, surprise. Okay, I'm actually gonna keep these face up because when I keep these face up, they come out face down, and when I have them face down, they come out face up a lot of times. With that judge at the bottom of the death phone, it's not always black and white, but sometimes it is. But sometimes things get weird and wonky and crazy. So, we're not going to get into that. Ew, what's that happening with my teeth? I don't like that. And then there's the tickles. Also, like, it happened when I was doing the retrograde zodiac readings for the first time when I was doing cancer. But, like, sometimes there's just like this warmth that invades my body. I shouldn't say invades, but there's this warmth that kind of sort of comes out of nowhere. And it happened earlier today. And I was like, where is this? Because sometimes I'll get a feeling and I'll try to like map it in my body somewhere. And it was like around the heart, but more central. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is that where my soul is? And now there's like some butterflies or something in there. But it'll happen sometimes. And I don't like being hot. But I'll just like, it's almost like my core is like igniting or like really running for the first time or something. It's a very, very interesting feeling. But anyways, I'm all over the place today, y'all. This is just all ramble. I could probably just ramble on my legacy channel and then have like actual content over here. Or I could do it all here. I think about going back sometimes, but I'm like, no, like Because, like, then what would be the purpose of this if I went back? How many cards is this? 3 cards? I'm going to take them. Another thing I've been thinking about lately is that if I ask a question, if I pose a question, and if I get like 15 cards, then sometimes it's like that's the answer. And so that's why I've come into the space more of like, and I've been in this space kind of for a minute, but sometimes if like a bunch of cards come out, I take all of them because it's all sort of part of the story. And to not, and again, do it as it resonates if you are your own practitioner. I keep seeing this card. Oh, it's the mother. Okay, number one. The mother is left at the top of the deck. So we have the hawk and the mother. The hawk mother. And then I'll take a few cards to clarify all these. Okay, there we go. Oh, Son of Swords. Another bird. But anyway, I was talking to Nathan one day. And I was like, I don't too much have anxiety. I just deal with depression. He was like, really? Like, really, Patrick? Like, you don't have anxiety? I was like, well, I didn't think I did. Like, what? Like, I got tested and it only came back with like depression. So I have been diagnosed with depression. But that was a past life. That was years ago, darling. Like 3. That was 2017. That was summer 2017. I would have gotten the diagnosis because it would have been 16, 17. And yeah, only 3 years, right? I mean, I didn't need the diagnosis to know I had depression, right? Like pretty much literally all my life. And like, it's not that I don't have any anxiety. The Father of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune, love that energy. It's not that I don't have any anxiety, but I don't too much like suffer. Like, I don't think. But Nathan was like, really? Well, now the Tower with that King of Cups. I was like, yeah. And, ooh. So Death and the Mother of Swords just came out. So this is going to be this wolf. And immediately, I just feel like with these 3 cards, wolves can be both social and lone animals, right? They can be in a pack or you could be a lone wolf. And so this is just, it's to me talking about some kind of understanding that is happening with someone's interpersonal social dynamics. And it could be family, right? Because a pack would be a family. But maybe someone is going from maybe like a more alone, solitary aspect mindset to one that is more inclusive of others. And it would have had to do with this an element of truth. But this is also Libran energy, so it's Scorpio and Libra, and they touch. Um, this is cardinal air, so it's also justice. But with the foil at the bottom of the deck, I feel like it's a different season, if it's a different time. And when we change, our circles change. Oh, well, what is I was picking up the cards and the fool just went flat out, face down on the table to give way for the sun. Because I was going to say, oh, the fool and the Hierophant, but the fool just fell out. Now the fool's in reverse. But yeah, so the sun is behind here. And that's different. Like when you become lighter, your circles become lighter. And so the things that you wouldn't necessarily permit yourself to do in the past, you don't necessarily have to continue to permit yourself from doing because you're in a different space and you're a different person. Right. Just like I was taken advantage of a lot. For my kindness and my empathy and my compassion and for my ability to not fix people, but to listen to people. Because sometimes what people need more than anything is to be heard. Sometimes people need a little bit of work. A lot of times people need a lot of bit of work. Um, but a lot of times what people are seeking is someone to listen. And I've been a listener and a fixer for a lot of people. And I have a lot of people say they have fair weather friends. I have poor weather friends, and I've talked about it before. There's that Son of Cups again, coming out under the dragon. Oh, somebody got a sleeping dragon in them, y'all. Somebody is kind of sort of low key powerful AF. But you may not necessarily get it or guess it. Something about the Son of Cups seems a little sheepish, a little shy. It was it was Bob's Burgers. Gail. Oh, it was the episode where the kids were grounded and Gail was going somewhere, and they wanted to go with Gail just to not be grounded, and they all had to come up with stories. And in Tina's story, she kept saying like, "I'm shy." She's like, "Oh, I would love to, but I can't because I'm shy." And in that story, none of the sisters could get married until Gail got married, and Tina really wanted to get married, so Tina was trying to set Gail up. Um, but she was like, "Oh, I can't because I'm far too shy." And it's kind of sort of that energy. But somebody got a whole dragon. The lovers and the ten of swords. Okay, well these cards. All right, Son of Cups. What's going on? The Son of Cups is the Knight of Cups. That's Pisces energy. Mutable water. Seven of Pentacles. Getting all your ducks in a line. Okay. But that Ten of Swords again. Now we have the Eight of Swords. No, Nine of Swords. Sorry, with the Seven of Pentacles. Dark visions. And so that it speaks to. They say insanity, like they say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And so some may think so there's this distinction in Fool energy, the shadow of the Fool and the light of the Fool, where the shadow of the Fool may be insanity, right? But the light of the Fool, you step into that. Oh wow, yes, love that. Growth. Bottom of the deck is okay, so we got the Father of Wands and the Father of Cups with the Sun behind the Father of Wands. This is Leo energy. This is Leo energy. This is Scorpio energy. The Kings are. It's different on in different systems. I think in the Thoth system it's a little bit different, but in the Rider Waite, again, I don't know. Let me just speak and not try to attribute everything. Fathers, kings are fixed. So this is fixed water and fixed fire, Leo and Scorpio energy. And I was like, this Father of Cups just came out. I was like, okay, because this set of cups he leveling up, y'all. Like I said, like he's got this sleeping dragon inside of him. Um, but he's got to get through his like little sheepish way. Like I'm shy. And it's like, you ain't gotta necessarily be. You can be like an Eastern dragon, right? You ain't necessarily gotta be medieval Western dragon where you like raising, pillaging, and plundering and destroying people crops, right? You ain't gotta be that. Ooh, judgment with this Five of Wands. Five of Wands in this deck speaks to a lack of focus more than anything. It's almost the energy of like too many projects to work on, so you can't fully dedicate that to anything. And so it's almost like if there's a mother hen, oh, that's way too much. That's way too much. If there's a mother hen, I'll see if there's one more. If one more wants to come out. Nope, they said move on. No, they said move on. Okay, all right, I'm moving on. So we go from the Sun to the Father of Cups with the star at the bottom of the deck. I'm about to move on, but the star is on the bottom, and we just saw the Sun with that Father of Wands. So it's all about stepping into your power, but in a way that's very expressive, in a way that's very light. Oh, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 3, 2. I forgot we had three cards here. They said move on. Okay. I want to pull the star, but I'm not gonna do it. I'll remember that it was there. Oh, with the Ace of Swords though. The clarity, sis. The clarity. Clarity and remember clarity or celerity. So there's a swiftness to this at the same time. It's almost like a realization that's gonna hit you. But it could also be information overload at the same time. What am I talking about? I don't know. I'm all over the place. Strength in the Six of Cups at the cuts. We're going for that cosmic egg now. I don't know what I'm talking about, y'all. This is just rambling and stream of consciousness. Ooh, Ten of Cups with that strength card. Okay. So we went from the Six of Cups to the whole gosh darn 10. Because of this strength, Ten of Cups and the Five of Swords. Some battles are worth actually fighting. That's one thing that I've learned over the past year or so of my life. Some battles, some people are actually worth fighting for, and not just like toss my hands up. I'm done. I've done all I can. You know. So for the folks who've taught me that, thank you. Let's see. What was I talking about? I don't remember. The Father of Cups, leveling up, dragons. I don't know. I'll just pick up whatever's on my brain now. And I just lost what was on my brain because it just popped into my brain. I have so many storylines running at the same time. Oh yeah, I found my voice today. I was watching someone. Ooh, I like this energy. Nine of Cups with the cosmic egg. This is beautiful. The cosmic egg is almost prime magician energy. Every element is contained within the egg, and then the snake represents the element of life. Who was I watching today? Rustling around. He uploaded today. I was excited. And then Opal Oracle did her Pisces video today. And I was excited and I watched it. And she was like, "Oh, Pisces, you're doing that thing where you go quiet." I'm like, anyway. Um, the yolk is the fire, the egg white is the water, the shell is the earth, and the membrane is the air. And then the snake represents the element of life and ether. And we have this nine of cups, which is wish fulfillment. But these together is almost the space of us fulfilling our own wishes because we have the power inside of us. And that song from Mulan just popped into my head, kind of sort of because of the music I'm listening to. But that one line when she's like, "Who is that girl I see?" Bottom of the deck is the Father of Pentacles. So, I mean, wealth and abundance are the tip of the iceberg, darling. The tip of the iceberg. Oh my gosh. And then the Empress flips over and in my hand, like literally. But those dark visions are still there at the bottom of the deck. This is a Nine of Cups, though. 939. 939. Did that happen recently? Yes. It was the Nine of Wands. But what else was there? I don't remember. 9-3 has been a thing, though. Because I saw 9 and 3 earlier, and I was like, oh, the 6 is missing. I don't remember what it was. Now my head is starting to hurt. I'm starting to get like a headache. What was it? Because I was like, the 9 and the 3, there's a 6 missing. I don't remember what it was. And then I saw something else with a 9 and a 3, I believe, maybe. 9s and 3s have kind of sort of been a thing. I also realized, because this is just real rambly, the tower at the bottom of the deck. What's under the tower? This Ace of Pentacles, though. And don't be sad. I feel like, I feel like I've almost become not dehumanized, but sometimes I almost feel like I'm so far removed from the start of my journey that like who I am now is not who I was when I started. And so sometimes I feel like I can forget how hard it is to actually step away from some things or to actually go through some things. But also, like, I'm a very cold turkey type of person. And I kind of sort of get it from my father because my father is the same way. Like, whenever he quits something, he just goes cold turkey. And my mom, I wouldn't necessarily know enough about her to say if she's a cold turkey or not because, like, a lot of times when you do something cold turkey, you talk about substances. Uh, and I guess I've never really done a substance, but whenever I have to make a change, I just like make all change at once because if I do it gradually, I'm not going to do it. Um, but there's like my mom, she's kind of sort of the same way. Like she's very, whenever she comes upon a decision, she makes it. And I remember when I was younger, am I going to keep these on the table? No, I'm not going to put them back. I remember when I was younger, there would be like, she would like have a job or something and she would just be dying. and not even have another one lined up. But my mother is also a woman of God with an immense faith. Um, and it's actually interesting because one of the first, not one of the first things, but one of the things that she really drilled into us and me growing up is that there's this passage in the Bible. It may be in Romans or Acts. Let me see, I'll find it because I actually want to read it. I should know what it is because she talks about it all the time. She hasn't lately, but when I was growing up, she would talk about it all the time. It's like her favorite scripture. Stop doing that, please. The size of a grain of mustard seed. Yeah. What is it? What is it? Matthew! Girl, no. No. Matthew 17 and 20? No. Hold up. Oh, it was Matthew 17 and 20. Why? I think it was in Acts or Romans or something. So the King James version of the scripture is, and Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place. Okay, girl. Well, he said to them, because of your unbelief, for most certainly I tell you, if you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you will tell this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Faith the size of a grain of a mustard seed is what I was raised on because that was, I guess that's her thing. And so she made sure she put it into us. And it's so interesting because now I find myself in this space where I have so much immense trust and faith and belief. So I inherited from her. But she was like, I'm done with this job. The Lord will provide. And I remember being smaller. I'm like, you're forcing the hand of spirit right now. Cause you just leaving. I'm like, you just leaving. It's just not gonna work out. Shoot. I'm like, oh, why? The four of cups just came out. But the ace of wands at the bottom. Am I done? They said no. Two more. Well, yep, you ain't come out. I'm just gonna pick the last two, and I will put them face down on the table. Y'all see that? I didn't see it. Is it good? Because this four of cups just came down and threw the whole mood. Bottom of the deck is this tower. Okay. Okay. But yeah, so faith the size of a grain of mustard seed, and she actually like got a mustard seed, taped it to a piece of paper, wrote it out, and gave it to us. Um, and so that was interesting. I forget where I'm going with a lot of this, so it's just stream of consciousness. It all kind of sort of comes and goes and flows and moves, and I lose it sometimes. If you can't tell, if you don't know me by now. um, There's some insights that are just so profound, but my brain is so quick. It's like it's already on to the next thing. It's already on to the next thing because it's like that's the thing about tarot also. Oh, I was talking about how yeah, okay. See, it comes back when it's supposed to. 1 second, Hila. One moment. I'm back. Hello. My brother just delivered some of grandmother's fresh cookies, and I was about to read this girl, but I'm gonna have to take this cookie right now, so we're gonna have to. This is gonna have to wait and see. But I just remembered what I was gonna talk about. So I was watching somebody earlier today, right? And it's kind of sort of semi-interactive, and so it was live. And so I posed a question of like, what does it mean to be alive? You know, because he was talking about animism and indwelling spirits and all of these things. And animism is kind of sort of one of the more traditional beliefs that this spirits live in the rocks, the trees, the water, and nature. Right? They're thinner, a little chewy today. They're good. Ooh, okay, there it is. She's made better, but they're good. Oh, there it is. I have to get you a chocolate chip. Mhm. I've been wanting something sweet, and I didn't buy anything sweet when I went to the store. Um, but then I was like, yeah, like, what does it mean to be alive? Because, like, we're the same, aren't we? We're just like mobile, but there's a spirit in us, just like there's a spirit in the rocks and the trees and the water and the wind and everything else. Just like there's a spirit in the dog or the cat or the bumblebee. And then he went into it. But I typed the question and I thought he would read it. And then his moderator was like, "Hey, can you call in?" And I was like, "What?" Anxiety rose up. But I was like, "Patrick, this is your lesson right now. You're speaking your truth and you're asking. You are being heard. You're being heard." So I was like, "Yeah." And I called in, girl, and he got to me and I was talking. And it's like after I started talking, it was actually before. Because when I first called, I was still a little nervous and I didn't go right through. So by the time he actually got to me, I was fairly like chill. And I was like, wow, it wasn't even that bad. But that's one of the things I'm talking about. Like, because people say, oh, like, oh, you're never done growing. You're never going to be perfect. And it's like, yes, but no, right? Like, I'm not perfect. I still have fears and stuff like that. But I've reached and I am still reaching both because it's quantum. I have reached and I am reaching the space where I don't allow my fear, my anxiety, my worry, or my past to keep me from doing what it is that I feel led or called to do. Right? I don't allow it to stop me. And so I have been like, there have been moments of absolute terror that I faced earlier in the year specifically. But I wonder if other people even know how afraid I truly was because, again, I'm not going to allow my fear to keep me from showing up in a situation. Right? Well, all right. I was not ready and I was very much afraid and very much scared. But at the same time, I know how to not let it stop me now. So shout out to Patrick in the past for getting me to this space. I appreciate you. It's because of you that I am who I am today. Because of you and some other people. But ultimately because of you, because it doesn't matter what opportunity you're presented with. If you don't take it, you don't take it. Right? Okay, that was pretty good by the end of it. And so that's what got me thinking about anxiety and stuff. Like, I don't know, because I feel like so many times we talk about some things and we treat them as if they will forever hold us and forever tie us. And it is true that, as humans, we are inherently flawed and we will never be perfect. But it's also true that the goal isn't for us to be perfect. If we were intended to be perfect creatures, we would have been made perfect. We would be created that way. if that's what was intended for us. But it's for us to reach the spot and the point where we don't allow that to keep us from doing what it is that we need to do, because we are also conscious beings and conscious creatures, and also very creative. And that hesitation makes us smart, and it gives us it helps us be more creative when you're finding ways to circumnavigate things. Circumvent, I think, is the word I want, but they're kind of sort of both the same. Well, let's see. I ain't really read a book in a minute, y'all. Most of my vocabulary I got before I left high school. Most of it, yeah. I will say, kind of sort of by middle school. I was reading before I went to kindergarten because my mom got me hooked on phonics, and I loved it. So I was already reading by the time I went to kindergarten. So, hey Siri, define circumvent.
Circumvent means find a way around an obstacle.
Exactly like it sounds, right? Um, you can circumvent things, and it's almost like, work smarter, not harder. It's the one of the routes of innovation is to come upon something and to move around it, right? And there are some things that we have to go directly through, but there are some times when a roadblock is a roadblock for a reason, and it isn't necessarily for us to travel through that because it'd be harder. It'd take much more time, and ultimately by the end of it you'll realize that you probably never should have been in that space in the first place. But then you get a lesson on discernment and trust and listening, right? Anyway, let's read the wolf, shall we? Oof, girl, this is intense. Oof, can I read today? Let's see. We'll see if I'm able to read today. I'll try to slow it down a little bit because it helps. The wolf. This is guardian of family and tribe, activism, and ritual. The wolf's mission is to uphold the well being and longevity of the pack. Healthy wolf energy expresses itself through activism, mentorship, humanitarian efforts, or teaching, religious or political studies. Sorry. The wolf gets into trouble when it assumes every member of the tribe must follow suit. This includes children walking in their parents' footsteps. Although it will surely be uncomfortable at first, practicing tolerance helps balance out agitated wolf energy. Contemplate the following: embrace all, exclude none. So that's the thing about wolf energy. And that's one of the things that I actually like. And I got wolf energy a long time ago. Like one of the first, not like one of the first cards I got, but I think I did a, yeah, it was the wolf and the fire ants. And I was like, fire ants energy is him to a T. The buddy I went on a retreat with, I did like, there's a relationship spread in here. I did it. He came out as fire ants. And I'm like, that's literally him. Because he will bite and bite and bite and bite and bite until, one ant bite, that's fine. 20 ant bites all over your body, that's when you have an issue. And he's very fire ant because he will pick at you. And he's the friend who was like, well, if I'm nice to you too much, you'll get used to it. And I'm like, I'm not the type of person where I need friends that I argue and fight with. Like that frenemy thing, like that's not for me. So, and then he was trying to get me to go back. He was trying to get me to go back. And I was like, last time I was there, we already know like 4 days is the maximum because by the fourth day of peace, you start to get all weird. And he was like, well, now you know what to expect. And I was like, girl, that is not a good enough answer. It is not worth my peace of mind. And he just be straight up lying sometimes. To me, the archetype we get is Kairos. Cairo speaks to mythic time. Moments between Cairo speaks to those moments where time passes differently, right? It could be a moment of passion with a lover that stretches out into infinity. It could be a moment like time flies when you're having fun. Also, like, I'm sure there are contexts outside of the one I'm about to give, but there are some moments where you you hold your breath and it feels like a second is a minute and 5 minutes feels like 3 hours. Like when I first came out to somebody through text message, it felt like it took her like hours to reply to my text. It was like more literally minutes, maybe like two, maybe like one, but it felt like a lot longer than it was. But that's what Cairo speaks to. And so this is a change of someone's understanding. Oh, and I talked about this, a change in familial structures, maybe. But this could be whoever this wolf spirit is in your life. This could be someone coming to this realization that is giving me motherly energy, not gonna lie. But it could be anybody. Someone older, someone who's already walked a path. I'm not gonna say the path because there are many paths. This is someone who's walked their own path and had their own experiences in life. And so they have a knowledge of life that is very valid, but it is also, again, their path. And it's the way that they walked their path. And it's the people and situations and circumstances that they came upon on their path. There are three moons right here. And I'm literally just now seeing it. Two light, one dark. All the same phase and facing the same direction. Three moons. Interesting. Um, what energy is this? Cancer, Venus, and Pisces. Also Taurus with the Empress, I guess. I don't know. Ouch. I just combed out all the knots in my head and I'm just laying with nothing on my hair to protect it. And it's not like extremely knotted, but like I worked so hard. I worked so hard, y'all, to not even take care of it. And I don't even know where my little thing went. Anyway, that's beside the point. Someone is beginning to understand that the way you walk your path is not necessarily the way that they walked theirs. And as they understand that, they're going to be coming. Oh, it may be a mother because we got the mother of swords right here, and she may be going through this transformation. And you can feel the love that she has for you, but dogmatic, and it's a wolf. Could have been someone who's very dogmatic, or very, very held to their beliefs. This has also given me what do you call it? Dreamcatcher vibes. I don't know why, but something about the way this looks on the table, something about the way this looks on the table gives me Dreamcatcher vibes. And it was more like this because it's like, you'll have the thing where you can hang it up. There'll be the actual Dreamcatcher, and then there'll be like the feathers or something that kind of sort of dangle, right? And so Kairos would be the actual Dreamcatcher here. And what do Dreamcatchers do? And once upon a time, I think they used Dreamcatchers to look at past memories or something like that. And in stuff like that, they could find things that were forgotten. But there's this energy of, because the crown portal is open and there kind of sort of isn't really a filter on it. So we're kind of sort of susceptible to anything and everything. And it plays into the choice and the free will that we have down here. So like we have free will, but there's also an element of choice, right? And so it's kind of sort of hard to, it's like if there were an intergalactic if there were a spiritual court of law, it would be kind of sort of hard to hold people accountable who implant bad things into people, because at the end of the day you could say, well, I gave them the idea, right? I may have given them the vision, I may have given them the dream, I may have given them the idea, I may have like, planted the seed, but ultimately at the end of the day with free will they make the choice on their own, right? And it's kind of sort of the case that like no matter how the odds are stacked against you, since you always have free will, it always comes down to a choice. And so people don't necessarily too much force your hand, and even if someone literally forces your hand, there's still the argument, well, you didn't have to do it. Right. And I don't know why I'm getting into this. The dream catcher. So it's like that crown portal is sort of wide open for anything. But a dream catcher would be a tool that kind of sort of helps root out the good from the bad. And a lot of times, at least I've seen it in the space of dreams, right? It wards off nightmares. But again, it's like when you're in a vulnerable state and more sort of, it's like you're physically vulnerable because you're asleep, but you're also a little bit more mentally vulnerable, depending on how you interact with dream spaces, to have things incepted, right? Like Inception. And I was literally thinking of the movie Inception earlier. I don't remember why. I was talking about something and Inception popped into my mind. I was like, no, it's not like Inception. This is like Inception. But a dream catcher in some ways can be something that kind of sort of prevents you from being incepted. And it's interesting that we're talking about Inception because we have this wolf energy here. And the lesson with the wolf was to practice tolerance and to allow other people to be who they are. And again, we have this mother of swords going through this transformation down here. Maybe this is for me. Don't be so harsh. I'm like, girl, but these people who say they're down here to do some work, they need to get to work. Anyway, it's not about that. Or maybe it is. I know I need to loosen up a little bit. And I will be because, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let me read a little bit of Kairos because I don't know if I've necessarily read the full entry. I got down to Mythic Time and then I kind of sort of stopped because, like, oh my gosh, yes. But what does this have to do with time? It's not about time. It's about patterns. Parallels and paradoxes is something that someone said earlier today. And it's almost the case that if you take someone else's mindset, okay, this brings a lot of questions to mind, a lot of things I've been thinking about today. I'm going to take my glasses off. I'm going to try for my head to not hurt as I piece this together. The danger of the wolf energy, especially when it comes to parenting, is that, why am I going to say we? Girl, I am not a parent yet. I was going to say we as parents, girl. My baby, like, I'm here. Like, I'm already here. Like, hello. And I exist in this quantum space. So I was really about to say we as parents, girl. Honestly, though, like, low key, like, I know I still need to build myself up right now, but I would be so down. I'm just like ready to have a family for some reason. I don't know. Weird. It's not weird. It's the journey. Anyway, parents, in order to prevent their children from making some of the mistakes that they make, some parents, in order to prevent their children from making some of the mistakes that they made, they have this kind of sort of like very mother of swords, like forceful grip, right? This is my talent because she's an owl, I guess. They have this very forceful grip, and it's almost like it's at the throat, and the throat is the space from which we speak the truth, which is interesting. But it's almost like it has this grip, but it's almost like paradoxically projecting their story onto their children. And so it's like it's perpetuating karma, even though the intention is to prevent it. Parallels and paradoxes. So you enter a parallel. And it's a paradox because you think that you're preventing something from repeating and carrying out in your children, but you kind of sort of reinforce it in a way that is very interesting. I don't know. Where did I put my glasses? I don't know how you would. And that's kind of sort of what this Kairos energy is. It's like the energy of time loops. And the only way to break it is to truly do something different. And that's kind of sort of the relationship I've had with my mother. That's the relationship I have with everybody, including my mother. She would tell me these things, right? And she was like, I want you to do better. I'm like, yeah, like I understand that, but also at the same time, I want to live my own life. And it was never necessarily in an overtly rebellious way. But I've always been the type of person that, like, just because something has been your experience doesn't mean that it will be mine. And just because you can't do something doesn't mean that I can't. And just because you can do something doesn't mean that I can as well. And so this Kairos energy almost speaks to stepping outside of that parallel. Okay. And it's like I just heard like it's time for some insanity. But and this was something I didn't finish talking about earlier. Insanity, they say it's doing the same thing over and over, expecting the same result, right? But if you are different, then it is possible that you will get a different result. And maybe that's another lesson with this wolf energy, right? Because there may be something that we see as a repeat behavior. But if we are changed on the inside, then even if the actions look the same on the outside, the outcome may not necessarily be. And that's why it's like it's time for a little insanity. It's because it's almost like, eventually the magic trick will work, right? It's like if I wave my hand like this and nothing appears. It's like that TikTok thing where people are like waving in front of the camera, they're like cleaning a mirror or something, and then like boom, things change. It's kind of sort of like that energy. But again, with the mirror, it's because on the inside you've changed. So even if you go through the same motions, the trick will happen eventually if you change enough on the inside. And that's kind of sort of the way to break this. Time out, time outside of time, cycles outside of cycles. exits that look like entrances, and entrances that look like exits. He was also talking about how he's not going to do tarot anymore. I personally love tarot, especially when it comes to other people, because honestly, it's an energetic like boundary and barrier. Because I don't necessarily want to be in other people's energy. Because like I'm like, ew. It's like I'm fine on this side of the cards. You can sit on that side of the cards. I don't need to be in your energy like that. I can use these to tap into that and pull it. I'm not necessarily trying to be in people's fields too much. And I guess like I could protect myself and then walk in and then like cleanse when I come out, but that's too much work. It's not too much work. And I'm feeling pulled to step away or to not step away, but to stop using it as a crutch a little bit to really develop. But at the same time, I'm like, I like it for the boundary and the barrier energetically that it provides. Because again, I can kind of sort of, sometimes I can kind of sort of walk between spaces and between dimensions. That's weird. I'm really good at reading between the lines sometimes and navigating fields of energy. And it's like intuition and empathy, but elevated, right? It's almost like you use your empathy to connect to someone on a certain level, and then you apply your intuition to really sort of navigate through their field. And then if you have a clair, then that will flesh it out even more. But you see how far into someone's space that takes you? I'm like, I'm not trying to go that deep. Especially with strangers. No, thank you. Even if I know you, I'm not not necessarily trying to go that deep. Anyway, that's this. But yeah, it's giving me vibes of like platform 9 3/4 from Harry Potter. Time for a little bit of insanity, right? Go full speed, faster, faster. You're like, oh my gosh, the wall is getting whoa, like where am I? I was like, the wall was an illusion. Welcome to the rest of your life. You know, that's the level of bravery it's going to require. Now, I'm not telling anybody to run at no brick walls that you already know is brick walls. Because, you know, you could be what is that? A vertical pancake. I ain't trying to turn nobody into no vertical pancakes. I want another cookie. Um, can you tell I have Taurus in my chart? I want to eat. I really want some good food, y'all. We ain't got no Indian food in my hometown. It's tragic. I really want some chicken makhni. Yeah, some chicken makhni, or some butter chicken, or some chicken tikka masala, girl. Like, I want some good food. We ain't got none here. It's kind of tragic. But I did learn to cook. So I may go on Amazon and buy a bunch of spices and just go ham. Like I went on Amazon, I looked up kasuri methi. They got kasuri methi. I was like, okay. Because I kind of sort of went ham on that butter chicken, y'all. That tasted real good. Anyway, so now we're moving over to the dragon. Is this two different people? We have the sun into the King of Cups The sun into the Father cups on one side, and we got an Empress on the other side, and they're both looking at this Empress side. Take it as it resonates. If it's about two people, it'll be about two people for you. If it's not, then it won't be, right? And sometimes an energy can play out within us. Sometimes it can play outside of us through another person. We got like the heavy hitters. We got two spirit cards, y'all. The dragon and the cosmic egg. This is a big deal. This is a really big deal, y'all. Like, I've never gotten the dragon card. Not for myself. I don't know if I've too much gotten it for anyone else either. Where is it? Oh. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Get into it. Why did I just hear get into it? Like it's some kind of fantasy. Like, yes, get into it. She's gorgeous, isn't she? Yes, like get into it, sis. Get into it is what I'm hearing. Like, get into it. Claim your personal power. Like, yes, like get into it. Okay. So dragon is seeing one's most true self and balancing the ego. Ooh, this is gonna be deep, yo. Okay, where do I start? The dragon sees everything. Its essence has been with us since before our first breath and will be there at our last. It watches us navigate the external world as well as our inner world. When dragon energy is awakened, we are courageous, visionary, and can easily drop into witness. Wait, what? And can easily drop into witness consciousness? What is witness consciousness? It is almost as if, oh, okay, here we go. Read more and you'll find out. It is almost as if we are traveling with a great friend inside of ourselves. When we look in the mirror, deep into our eyes, we may even glimpse the self behind the self, the one who is watching us. This is the power of the dragon. Wait. This is the power of the dragon breathing transformative fire into every cell of our bodies. Witnessing this omniscient energy, even for a brief moment, helps us surrender and let go. We let the dragon guide us. We hop on its back for a ride. And as we traverse even the most difficult terrain, the dragon's eyes see beauty everywhere. It is said that if a yogi does not see beauty in the world, their Agni is dim. Agni is fire, isn't it? Literally about to see. Agni is described as inner fire or a sacred intelligence. Uh, what? May even just okay. May even just the mention of the dragon stir the embers of intelligence within you. Something just popped into my head. Something just came to my mind. What was it? Yes. So if this dragon, so interesting. If this dragon energy is what this says it is, then it's really, really, really interesting that it's respected and revered in more like Eastern cultures, but demonized and vilified in more Western European cultures, isn't it? Almost as if, and it brings into mind, um, like there's a hierophant energy, not here, but it's that hierophant energy that would suppress the dragons, people who can see for themselves, right? Because if you can see for yourself, you don't really need the church to do anything. And back in the day, the church was all about power. Like they had a lot of power. They ran things. And we supposedly have a separation of church and state, but some people say that's, not really the case. But that can be, oh wow. So someone is, yeah, like I said, like this dragon energy laid in that cup. And the father of cups has become the dragon. That's why he's black. And that's why that cup, like he's become who he is instead of continuing to separate it from himself. Someone is becoming whole and integrated within themselves. And as they do that, again, they're coming into this dragon energy. So it spoke to seeing things, perceiving things, traveling, inner knowledge, wisdom, and intelligence, inner fire, and seeing beauty in the world. That's really interesting. I kind of sort of love that. Like, high key, I've never read this before because I've never gotten the card. So, I feel like there was a lot in there. But it's also about balancing the ego. Not only is it about becoming your true self, it's also about balancing the ego. Also about balancing the ego. So let's read, shall we? This may be the solar plexus. Oh no. Okay, yeah, it is. The dragon in the third chakra. The subtle energy of the dragon lives at the what? Oh, at the navel center in the Manipura chakra. Manipura translates to the city of hidden gems, and behind its gates burns the fire of our transformation and digestion. The sages believe health of the fire at the navel center is what governs our ability to clearly see both the inner and outer dimensions. That's interesting because then that would link. That would link the third chakra with the third eye chakra. The solar plexus and the third eye would be connected. The three and the six. I mean, I guess it makes sense, doesn't it? The third chakra and the third eye chakra. So there's also a third eye sort of energy here. I mean, it was already there, right? It is, but it isn't. Because the dragon it's about seeing the beauty in the world. But with the third eye, it doesn't only see beauty. Now, you can cut through something to see the beauty of it, sure, but there are also other sides. This is interesting. Let me not drink too much water because I'm gonna have to go to the restroom. We got 3 cards, y'all. The riddle, number 53. I've been saying 53 a lot. 3s and 5s, like a 23-5 and a 53-8. The riddle with that like triquetra looking thing. Oh wow, the animal. And the bridge, of course the bridge. The animal is number 19, XIX, and the bridge is number 38. 3811, 35-8, and 19-1. It reminds me of Hercules when they're like, somebody call IXII. And I was literally like 26. Had been watching that movie for years before I understood. Somebody call IXII. Like I've known Roman numerals for like a very, very long time, for long enough. And I never got that IXII is like 911. Somebody call IXII. That was a really good touch. And it just completely flew over my head. Um. Anyway, I'm kind of sort of gonna. Actually, I was gonna switch this, but it kind of sort of works as is. We have the riddle, the animal, and the bridge. The animal, the bridge, and the riddle. The animal, the riddle, and the bridge. It kind of sort of doesn't matter how you arrange it because it's the riddle. The animal, the riddle, and the bridge. The riddle, the animal, and the bridge. RAB. The bar, the bridge, the animal, and the riddle. Yeah, I like the bar. I know I was just talking about Rumplemans the other day. I haven't had tequila in a minute, and I love tequila. Like that warm sensation as it like travels down your esophagus. Girl, I'm all about that. I am all about that. I love that feeling. I love the feeling. I'm sorry. I do. What's that one song? Fiesta, salsa, quinceañera, baila. Anyway, and I saw a dress today on Animal Crossing. Very cute, very fetch. Anyway, we have the bridge, the animal, and the riddle. And then we have the dragon here. Oh, look at this, y'all. Eyes. Also, look at this, y'all. If I can pick it up. Eyes. Eyes are a theme. And then we have the third eye. Interesting. What's up with all these eyes? All eyes on me in the center of the ring, just like a circus. Don't stand there watching me, follow me, show me what you can do. How many X's do we have? 5 X's and a 50, which is an L. We have 4 I's and 1 V. So if we put this all together, it would be 100. Because 50 and 50 is 100. 4 I's. No, we got more than 4 I's. Hello? Hello? I was not counting that right. Let's start all over, shall we? So we got 3, 2, 3 X's, 1 L. Did I say 3 again? I watch myself back sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just said the wrong element. I just said the wrong suit. I misspeak a lot. I know what I'm talking about. Just like my mouth isn't always connected to my brain. 'Cause what would the mouth be? I don't know. What rules the mouth? Taurus rules the throat. But my Mercury is in Pisces retrograde natally, so it comes out not as intended sometimes. Once we reach levels of telepathy, girl, I got you. I got you. But until then, I gotta make do. We have 1 L, which is 50. We have 3 X's, which is another 50, which gives us 100. We have 3, 4, 7 I's. So 107 plus a V, that's 112. 112 is a 4, right? So let's see. We got 53 plus 19, which would be 62. 62 and 38. Hold up. That would be 100. 53 plus 19. 72. Girl, if I wanted to do math, I would be doing my homework right now, which I will be finishing. Let's see. We got 53 plus 19 plus 38. Yeah, that's 100. 53, 19, 38. 53 plus 19 plus 38. Wait, 53 plus 19 plus 38. No, this is 110. Girl, did I put something in wrong? I think I put 60 something. 53 plus 19. Maybe I just did 9. plus 38 is 110. Oh, that's because IX is 9. And I was kind of treating it like an 11. Okay. Yeah, and Roman numerals, it does not work the same. Because an IX would be the same as an XI. 9 would be the same as 11. And then IV would be the same as VI, right? 4 would be the same as 6, and so on and so forth. I was going to talk about this earlier. I was born in a 22 year, 1993. At a 22 time. The time I was born is a 22. I was like, what? I was born in a 22 year at a 22 time. My first and last names, numerologically, are both 33s, but my middle name is a 34. So I might get my middle name legally changed so I can be a 99. So I'm a 100 numerologically, which is a 1. I'm like, oh, I hate being ones. Old me hated being ones because of leadership qualities and being seen. I'm learning to embrace it. But yeah, if I go by my first and last name, that's 3333. Very interesting. Got 33s, got 22s, got that 34/7 that just ruins everything. Let me stop. Anyway, the animal, the bridge, and the riddle. Since this riddle card is here, I'm not even going to try to piece this together because, much like it suggests from the dragon, this is all internal. And there is no advice that I'm going to give you to get you here because I have a respect and appreciation for the universe at large and for the way things work. And again, like if we come upon something and I feel like I'm not supposed to say anything, then I won't. Because sometimes it's more about the journey and sometimes it's more about the experience. And sometimes to know the destination before you know the reason clouds the purpose, right? Like if I tell you that you're going to go to Kentucky tomorrow and you're like, why would I go to Kentucky? And then you just end up going to Kentucky because I told you that you're going to Kentucky tomorrow, you may miss out on a whole conversation that would have taken place that would have led you to Kentucky instead of me telling you that you're going to Kentucky. So now you're in Kentucky and you don't even know why. Where if I wouldn't have said anything, then maybe you would have talked to somebody and they were like, hey, like there's this thing going on in Kentucky. Like it's like real low, low, low on the low key. So only like a select few people know, and I need to get there. Can you take me? And also, it would be a good opportunity for you, right? So the reason why you're going to Kentucky is because of this once in a lifetime opportunity that you've set yourself on the path of manifesting. But if I just tell you to go to Kentucky and you don't have the conversation with that person, because that person is going to be the key to getting you there, because you can't just show up to whatever this is. And now you're in Kentucky, you don't know why, and you don't have the one thing that you were supposed to have to actually get you to where you want to be. Like that's part of this whole stream of things that we don't necessarily know. Again, it's the riddle. We don't necessarily know the things that we don't know, but with the animal, it's for us to trust our instincts and to go after it anyway. Right? Sometimes we don't know why we're doing the things that we're doing, but it's because it's to lead us somewhere. And it's not because like trolls live under bridges, but it's like It's like very like when the stars align in a certain way on a full moon, when the wind is blowing in a certain direction, and you go to this one space, the bridge will be open. It's kind of sort of like that energy, something very, very mystical and magical, but also something very, very precisely timed and foretold and preceded by nature and the aligning of natural things with this animal spirit. It's all about natural things. And again, like, if you're going to come into this, you're going to come into this regardless. But I love that. I've never seen it that way. Because the Father of Cups is the only black swan in the deck. And the Father of Cups is what happens when the sun stops hiding. When the sun refuses to eclipse himself, he becomes this black swan. And the black swan is the dragon, the one whose inner fire is lit. And maybe as this person is discovering their inner fire, it has got your inner fire burning or something. I don't know. Cause like I said, like there'll be these moments where I just get like lit on the inside and I'm just like, I don't know what's happening right now. But I'll take it. Also lately I've been doing this thing where if I feel emotion out of nowhere, I don't really try to transmute it anymore. I just like I sit with it and I hold it because not everything, and that's another thing that I'm also learning right now is sometimes not everything needs to be transmuted or changed. Sometimes you have to sit with something and allow it to be expressed and allow it to be felt in order to really have that, in order to have a transformation that comes in on a more sustained level, right? Because it's almost like you can get a little deeper. Britney Spears, Just Love Me. Get into it. I love that song. I like legit cried. Like, not like a weeping mess cried, but I teared up the first time I heard it. Um, but yeah, the son is becoming a father. It's like I'm seeing a mask crack. It's like porcelain because it's going from white to black. But when it comes to pigments, right? So that cup holds all of the light that this one cannot hold. And so when the son becomes the father, this is the father in all of his glory. This is the father in all of his light. Because when you hold light, what the world sees is black. And the world sees black because you're holding all of that light, right? There's no light for their eye to perceive. And then we got two eyes. There's no light for this to perceive. But the dragon knows that black is beautiful. And black is beautiful because it holds all of the light. Every single band in the visible spectrum, black holds, right? And the way that light works, or the way that pigmentation works, because our eyes see light, right? Like light comes into our eyes, and then we perceive that as color. And so we know that white light is all of the colors, but that means that if something appears white, it doesn't absorb or it doesn't hold any of the light in the spectrum. It reflects all of it. So that's why you see white, right? You see all of the color because it's not holding any of it. And so to see something as black means that it's holding all of the light within it. And it's not Like none of the light is reflecting off of it, and that's why there's no light for your eye to perceive, and you perceive the color is black. And so again, like this is someone holding their own light, learning to hone their own light. And as they do that, again, they become this very powerful being. But the dragon knows, again, the dragon can see the beauty in it because the dragon would know, oh, that's somebody who is like holding their light, right? Holding and honing and living in and like working it. Like I said, the dragon is like, get into it. Get into it. If there's something deep and dark and scary about you, get into it. Dive in. Bathe yourself in those waters, girl. And it's like, don't become like your like the worst version of yourself. But if you do it, you'll do it. Again, like the riddle is here. I don't need to explain it. If I need to explain this to you, you got more self work to do, honestly. And I'm not anyone's cheat code because that cheats the system. And you don't get the growth that you're supposed to get out of it when you do that. Because again, like, not only would you be missing out on furthering your friendship by having this experience with this friend, but you'll be missing out on the opportunity because something or someone else is the key to it. And again, that's just why I personally, if I come upon something that I know is being like, I can tell when it's for something to be discovered for me personally, right? Everyone may not necessarily be the same. Sometimes people will be like, let's dig into this. And sometimes I'm like, let's dig into this. But sometimes I'm like, oh, like, no, let's leave this alone because it's nebulous for a reason. And the reason is you're supposed to live your life and find out. Goodness. Leave something to the imagination, right? Cosmic egg. I'm just gonna hold this up one time. This is the cosmic egg. I'll keep it up. We'll see. Cosmic egg. This is completion, harmony, the infinite within the finite. The cosmic egg is the final card in the journey of the animal spirit deck, and it represents the unfolding of cosmic consciousness. The unfolding of cosmic consciousness. What? We're nearing the end of a journey. This cosmic egg is about to hatch. What's going to be born? What's going to be born from this cosmic egg? Do snakes have eggs? Yes. Do reptiles have eggs? Yeah, because crocodiles hatch from eggs, right? Hey Siri, do crocodiles hatch from eggs?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Could you
Girl,
please repeat what you said?
do crocodiles hatch from eggs?
Okay, I found this on the web for do crocodiles hatch from eggs.
Yeah, they
Check it
do.
out.
Saltwater crocodile eggs take around 80 days to hatch. That is so weird. Because crocodiles get big. Some of these animals get so big and they hatch from eggs. Ostriches? Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, anyway, let me continue. Excuse me. This state emerges after we have tread the path for quite some time, and through self effort and grace, we experience self realization, a sense of contentment. A sense of contentment and oneness spontaneously arises within us, and the veils of our self limiting beliefs are lifted. When the essence of the cosmic egg has not been activated, we may feel as if we will never get there, or that we travel alone, disconnected from others. Even if our encounter with this card is brief, appearing as a momentary glimmer or flash of interconnectedness, its potent energy stays with us. The cosmic egg is a remedy for the power. No, yeah, okay. The cosmic egg is a remedy 4. The fragmentation of modern life. It's through the power of this card that we are reminded of the cosmic contract written at the beginning. Gotta turn the page. Written at the beginning, we hold on to life, and life holds on to us. The journey is complete, but it does not end. So, let me continue. So, the cosmic egg and the seventh chakra. The seventh chakra is Anahata is the heart, I believe. I know Muhadlara. Muhadlara is the root. Manipura is the solar plexus. Just remember that one. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sahasrara? I don't know how to pronounce them. Maybe the seventh, Sahasrara. Because the Agni. Ajna. Ajna is the throat or the third eye. I don't remember. It's literally about to tell me. I was just trying to remember. The subtle essence of the cosmic egg resides at the crown chakra, at the top of the head, called Sahasrara. One of the aims of yoga and meditation practice is to channel energy from the base of the spine upward towards Sahasrara. Each of the six lower chakras plays an important role along this journey, and once the final epicenter of consciousness is activated, it is said to radiate the light of a million suns. I only got one cookie left, y'all, and I'm not going to eat it tonight, even though I really want it. Barely got any more. I've been drinking Sprite, and it's been bloating me. I can't really have carbonated beverages anymore, but I want them sometimes, you know? I should get into grape juice. Oh my gosh, I love grape juice. Oh, or apple juice, or orange juice. I wanted to get some guava nectar juice, some Humex, but I didn't see Humex in Walmart when we were there. I was like, I want some Humex. My mom was like, you want some what? I said, Humex, mama, Humex. I love this because this is what I was going to talk about. With this cosmic egg energy, with this divine consciousness, it also said something very specific that I was like, oh, I love that. You drive me crazy. Oh, oh, I don't know why that song just popped into my mind. Da, 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 da. Let me see. The cosmic egg is the remedy for the fragmentation of modern life. That's what popped out to me. The cosmic egg is the remedy for the fragmentation of modern life. And I was like, oof, we so fragmented, y'all. Modernly, currently in the world. Fragmentation, lack of unity, us versus them versus everybody competing. Can't nobody really work together. Where's the love? So I was like, oh, with the solar plexus portal, with the solar eclipse, we may be coming more into that unity. But again, on the earth plane, coming into that unity requires for us to address certain things. So it's not enough to just expect harmony if nothing is done to harmonize anything, right? And the the card that came out is the forest. I don't know if y'all remember, but in like February maybe on my Legacy channel, I was talking about the forest. So the fog is lifting. The fog is lifting and about to lift. So for all of you who navigated outside the forest while the fog was, thick and dense and heavy, congratulations. You're probably going to be getting a little bit of something something. For those of you who made some kind of movement while the fog was heavy, congratulations. You might be getting something. For those of y'all who've just been lost, congratulations. You're going to be getting a learning opportunity, which is an opportunity for growth. Let me stop. I think like the fog is going to be lifting and clearing. And I was getting the feeling that those who would navigate outside of it before it cleared would come into some element of mastery. And if not mastery, at least an invitation into some kind of a depth to it to get to that mastery. And it said, like, they said, if you haven't reached this point, then you may feel as if you travel alone or you may feel disconnected. I'm going to throw in, you may have been feeling confused. You may have been feeling like spirit isn't there, blah, 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 potentially. And if you were feeling like that, that may be a sign that you weren't in that cosmic egg kind of sort of space. Because it's like, and again, it's different for different people because we all go through different things. And that's one of the things I really need to remember, that my experience and perspective isn't necessarily universal. But then again, I'm not necessarily a universal energy type of person. I've never felt like it was my calling to be like readily consumed for anybody. I don't want to say I'm not for the faint of heart, but I feel like I would prefer if I commune with people of a certain level of spiritual progression. And it's partly because, like I said earlier, it's like there's some of the things that, as I've grown and evolved and changed, I feel like I've kind of sort of lost my ability to really empathize with that because that's not the space I'm in. And it's a space I don't even want to necessarily like be in because I lived enough of my life. And woe is me, the world is out to get me, the world is out to get me. It's me versus the world, like type of energy. I lived enough of my life depressed. I don't necessarily need to go back. And like coming into the knowledge and awareness and understanding, you can realize and begin to see how much it truly doesn't serve you and how it kind of sort of keeps you sort of repeating the same things. But anyway, so this may be three different paths, potentially. We have the Nine of Cups, someone getting a wish granted. We have the Empress, someone coming into the power to make their own wishes come true. And then we have the Four of Cups for the one who, when the world asked to see your light, if you would have hit it, I don't know if I necessarily like saying this. Honestly, I don't mind. I don't like saying it, but it is what it is at the end of the day. There's almost, and I could be wrong. I can always be wrong. That's why I say take it as it resonates. But it's almost like, if you would have drawn your light from the world, from the universe when it needed you, it's like now the light will withdraw from you. When it was time for you to be in your heart and it was time for you to connect with and empathize with and show some compassion for the people in this world who may not necessarily be you, or just when things got a certain, like when things got dark, if you were someone who was in a space to rise and respond and you shied away from that challenge, you saw it, it's almost like you thought you were getting some kind of medicine, but what you ran to was Neptune, right? You ran to that heavy, heavy, heavy Piscean energy to try to put yourself in a space where you didn't feel or see anything going on in the world. And if that was your response to what was going on in the world when it was more prevalent and more in your face and more heavy, then don't be surprised when spirit and the light and love that is there. It's not that it will pull itself away from you, but don't be surprised if it no longer collaborates with you to the same degree. Or don't be surprised if it doesn't lift you and elevate you to the space that you felt coming, because again, it's like you're feeling Kentucky, but you're not knowing why. So you're in Kentucky without your friend who has access to this opportunity. But since you weren't where you were supposed to be to, cross this bridge or to establish this connection, this is establishing a connection. Since you weren't where you were supposed to be, and look at the colors between the bridge and the forest. Yeah, like that. Let's do it this way though. If you weren't where you were supposed to be to establish that connection in this time, then you missed it. And whoever was supposed to guide you there is now guiding someone else, because at the end of the day, they had the opportunity and they were getting to Kentucky. They were your ride, they were your ticket to get there. And it's like you put the cart before the horse. Oh, you put the cart before the horse and then the chariot comes out. I love it. So I'm actually going to take these cards. Both of these are going to clarify the Empress because I only have two cards. So the Chariot and the Two of Wands. This is the beginning of this long journey. But it's almost like you've proven that you can go on this journey. And it's taken me back here, balancing the ego. That's why. I was like, why is it taking me back here? Because of balancing the ego. And that's literally what this chariot energy is. The chariot energy is about balancing the ego, the moon, it's on the forehead, with the sun, our actions, to get that pinnacle. I mean, it ain't all about the pinnacle, but you know what I mean. Because it's only when we have our ego and our light on the same path that we really make movement. And this would have been the perfect time. If you can do it when it's this hard, you can do it at any moment in time, honestly. And it was approving. And some people didn't step up to the challenge. Some people backed away. Some people shied away. Um, so, I mean, it is what it is. But I feel like that's what this Four of Cups is feeling like to me. And it's the only one with the dark moon, right? They're all in the same phase. All of these moons are the same phase. But the Four of Cups is the only one with the dark moon. Like we all had the same opportunity. It's like we literally just went through 18 months of North Node in Cancer from January 2018, from November 2018 to like what, May 2020, because I believe it was May 5th when the node shifted. So you had all that time to really connect with the self and to connect with spirit and to connect with your heart. And if you would have prioritized your own peace, and it's like the veil was lifted. Was it this card that said see him through the veil? The veil being lifted? I think it was the dragon. It was either the dragon or the cosmic egg. But it was like the veil was lifted and some people like put it back down over their own eyes. Like, I can't face this, I can't deal with this. And so it's like if you drop the veil, then like that was a conscious choice. You consciously chose to drop the veil. So choices are respected. And that's one of the unfortunate things, I guess, for people who would have otherwise, who may have otherwise done something different. But it's like you literally went through all of this, supposedly went through all of this shadow work on your own. And again, I don't know how other people do shadow work, because in my mind, I'm like I don't necessarily see too much of a difference between facing a personal shadow and the collective shadow, because that's why I was so confused, because I'm like, have y'all not done this like in your own life to prepare you for this? What is this? What is this? Ooh, the vessel. This is number 59. The vessel was left on the table. You see that moon, that sun, that whatever that is up there, matching the color of this vessel. And again, that's what I've been saying. It's like our shadow is our ability to hold light. The shadow is the vessel for the light that we hold. And some people just did not. And then there's the womb. Speaking of the vessel, it's the womb. So some people's have come into this womb sort of functionality. But you see all that darkness there? I mean, it's more than just darkness if you can see all those colors in there, but it is the darkest thing here. And then we have the water, the downwards pointing triangle for feminine energy, and we have this empress. It was approving, and some people were found wanting. So again, it's like if you would choose to veil your own eyes when it was being lifted, if you would choose to withdraw and pull away your love and light from the world, from Gaia, from Earth, which you claim to serve, that when like she needed it the most, then it's like don't be surprised when it's pulled away from you. And it's giving me the vibes. Like I talk about the Bible like quite a bit. I was brought up in the church, if you couldn't tell. But like there's a certain part where like everyone's told what they need to do for Jesus' like second coming, right? And there are these people who didn't do what they needed to do, and there were people who did. And he showed up in the church and he locked them doors. And there were people who knew what they were supposed to be doing, but they didn't do it. And when he came, when they went to the church after the doors was locked, he was like, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. Like, hello? Like you knew what was going on. You knew what was happening. You knew that you were supposed to have prepared, but you chose to go out, indulge in some debauchery, veil your own eyes. And so it's like don't be surprised. Like you consciously veiled your own eyes when the veil was lifting. Like like you chose to not see it. With the mountain at the bottom of the deck, what just came out? Oh, a few cards came out. What's this? Apocalypsis, girl. Apocalypsis is number 74. I've never gotten the Apocalypsis card. Apocalypsis and the Sustainer. This is 24 and 74, a difference of 50. Let's read Apocalypsis. Bottom of the deck, what was it again? The mountain. The mountain was at the bottom of the deck. Some people are going to be getting to that heart of the mountain. Apocalypsis, I believe the last one, Anima Mundi. Anima Mundi is number 76. 78. Alethea. Kairos. I didn't even read Kairos. Apocalypsis. This one is a little interesting for me to read, so I'll do my best. Apocalypsis is girl. Removing the veil of deception. Apocalypsis is removing the veil of deception. The veil of deception was being removed, and some people are like, ew, I don't like this. I don't like it. Oh yeah, that's better. It's like I feel like if your heart was online to a certain degree, and it's easier for me to say because a lot of the major pressing issues that have come up, at least in this country, you know, I'm more directly affected by. So I recognize and realize that it's a lot easier for me to say, and I recognize and realize that I also sort of have a unique perspective and opinion. Not unique, but I have a vested um, interest in it. And so I won't say that my perception of it is not colored, but at the same time, I feel like it wouldn't have had to be me because my heart is open enough that if it were somebody else, I would be able to express the same level of concern and compassion and watch and, attention. And so it's like, if your heart was truly online, then, like, I don't know. And maybe that's just me. But a lot of people claim to be like empaths and other stuff too. So it's like if your heart was online and you're some kind of empath, like wouldn't you want to do something instead of just running away from it? I don't know. But we're going to talk about apocalypsis and this veil of deception, removing of the veil of deception at that. So love this energy for now because we got more to, like, the veil is still being raised. Apocalypsis is apocalypsis indicates a particularly painful time, one that unfolds when two disparate dynamics occur simultaneously, pulling the psyche and pulling the psyche in seemingly opposing directions. The first is a lifting of the veil. This means truths that have been kept in the dark are revealed, seen, and unearthed. No matter how relieving it is to witness them. Let me slow down and speed up at the same time. You know what? Just gonna read it how it is. Sorry. If you don't like it, you don't have to be here. I know how to read. To simultaneously pulling the psyche in seemingly opposing directions. The first is a lifting of the veil. This means truths that have been kept in the dark are revealed, seen, and unearthed. No matter how relieving it is to witness them come into the light. What? Oh, okay. No matter how relieving it is to witness them come into the light, an element of despair and grief follows. The secondary dynamic is the regeneration that comes from the reckoning, from the wreckage of the revealed truth. The regeneration that comes from the wreckage of the revealed truth. The old narrative breaks and a new story forms. Apocalypse's energy is similar to a forest fires, devastation for the sake of regeneration. The veil lifts and we see who and what has been hiding. From the nakedness of the truth, a child is born. Have faith in the process. Hold on to your center. That is the only way. And I think that's one of the things that may have confused some people when it comes to being grounded and when it comes to holding on to your center. Holding on to your center, and again, this is just a very biased perspective from me, and who am I? But holding your center to me means always finding the eye of the storm. It doesn't mean running and sheltering from it. Holding your center means going through life and being unshaken. And it's not for you to be unbothered, but it's for you to be strong enough to withstand something and to not be completely consumed by it. But for a lot of people, when it came to not for a lot of people, for some of the people, for some people, when it came to holding your center, it became something of like run and hide from what's actually happening and try to find some peace and joy and happiness in your life. And that's not what holding your center is. Like, you're not grounded if you can't weather a storm, right? Like the strongest trees whose roots run deepest, they may be able to survive a twister, a tornado that would come in and uproot every other tree. But being grounded is your ability to weather a storm and not be affected by it, right? It's not your ability to run away. And it's not your ability to self-medicate with substances or whatever else you want to self-medicate with. Like that does not speak to grounding. In my opinion, from my eyes, that speaks to a lack of grounding and a lack of centeredness. Because if you were grounded and centered, you'd be able to go through it. But again, for those people who would turn away from the world, oh, the Empress and the Two Cups. For those who would turn away from the world when she needed you the most, you know, I don't like to speak in finalities or absolutes, so I'm not going to say what is happening and what won't happen for you. Um, and, I don't want to say it's not everyone's path, but a lot of people had the potential to step up, and some of them didn't. And it was so interesting. I was dreaming about so many YouTubers before all of this happened, and I would just like pop in and visit. And I remember there was one in particular. He was about to go on some kind of journey, and I said something to him. He was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." But that's the thing about like everyone talking about this Cancerian energy. It's like, you need to find your happiness. You need to do this. You need to find your home. And it's like right now, for the people who've done the work, I don't need to talk anymore. The Hierophant and the Fool. Look at them birds at the cut. Okay, I'm gonna give this a few more shuffles, and I'll put this down here because I want to shuffle the animal cards. I'll give it a cut. Oh, girl. Seven of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, but I just got a whole stack, literally a whole stack of cards that fell. I picked them up face up. So Seven of Wands, being a light in the dark, will lead to this Four of Wands celebration. The Hermit is also a light in the dark that leads to this Mother of Pentacles abundance. I feel like this Hermit is being able to keep your light when the world got dark, but even though the Hermit is in his shell, the light is on the outside. Then we get the Strength card into the world, which is all about, if you showed up and had the strength, then expect major blessings to be coming. And then when we end with the Emperor and the Six of Swords, it's like, and they both, I don't know why I was seeing another sun in this. I see this as an eclipse energy. I don't know if you can tell, but I see that as an eclipse energy. Okay, I'm back here. It'll rebalance in a second. Anyway. And it's like, if you showed some kind of if you showed that root, that grounding, then you're going to be able to proceed in ways that just, it's all earned and it's all deserved. Some people stood up, some people didn't. And it also speaks to the visions that we hold in our hearts and in our minds at the same time, right? Because there would also be some people who give in to a sort of bleakness, right? And so if you give into a bleakness, then if that's what you're also putting out there, then I don't know. It's just like you're counter manifesting what you actually want. And if we gotta split some timelines, you best believe we're gonna be splitting some timelines. And for the people who, let me stop. There's that High Priestess though. The High Priestess, like, you ain't lying. You ain't necessarily gotta tell all this, but you ain't lying. And I love how that Apocalypsis card, with that moon. I love how the Apocalypsis card came out after everything is sort of calmed down, right? In a way. It's just like, it's kind of disappointing a little bit. Not gonna lie. But I don't know. It's like there's a lot going on in the world right now and a lot happening in a lot of people's personal lives. And it's a very challenging time, but it's intended to be. It's like you don't, it's like crossing energetic boundaries and energetic thresholds requires something of you. And it's almost like the higher you go, the more it will require. Okay, let me put these down. Nine of Cups at the bottom of the deck. What's at the top? I'm just curious. Ooh, the Hangman is at the top. So we're gonna be getting them nines, or like is them witches finally coming through? Like you've been diligent and waited long enough. Hopefully. So, but yeah, I'm using my voice in all kinds of places and spaces now. I can't believe I called in. I mean, I guess I can now. But I did have that moment of like, oh my gosh, oh, people are gonna hear me. Like I'm mostly over it. Kinda. I don't allow it to stop me anymore, so I'm as over it as I need to be. That feeling may always be there. And it doesn't necessarily, okay, no, absolutely not. It may not necessarily have to go anywhere because as long as I don't allow it to hold me back or stop me, then it kind of sort of doesn't need to. And the more you do it, the better you get in some ways, and it's kind of sort of always there. But, you know, there are great performers who still get nervous. Oh, what is this? The hyena. So the hyena is going to be our last animal. The card at the bottom of the deck is that wolf. Leaders were born in this time. You can see who the true wolves are. The real alphas stepped up. It was some betas playing alpha. But when things got difficult, they tucked tail and ran. Hyena. Look at that moon in this hyena card. Interesting. We're seeing the dark side of the moon. I wonder if the light side of the moon is like tan. Because it's always facing the sun? Or no? It's not. Is it? No, it's not. Is it? No, it can't. It can't. The dark side of the moon would have just gotten roasted because we had that solar eclipse, right? And so we know that the dark side of the moon saw the sun's light. Or do we see the dark side of the moon on a new moon? I don't know. Because I thought the dark side of the moon was always dark. But that may not be the case. But then that wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense for only half of the moon. Okay, let's just keep moving. We can ponder on that later. I pull right to this panther. It was the panther spirit. Because I think I saw, yeah, it was the panther. I haven't talked to my girl in a minute, y'all. I didn't give her a call. Excuse me. She's been on my mind lately. I need to give her a call. Do 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 do. Here's the hyena. Let's see what this hyena is all about. Hyena. This is humor, wit, and sarcasm. The hyena personality is a jokester and a crowd pleaser. But below the surface, there are unfulfilled dreams to be realized. Wow. When the hyena card appears, it's time to reflect on your reliance on sarcasm and humor to express your truth. Are you using jokes to hide old resentments in a relationship? Or are you using jokes to hide old resentments in relationships or to make things that you feel uncomfortable discussing? Wait, what? Or to mask things that you feel uncomfortable discussing. What would happen if you took your goals seriously? Oof. Hyena and Balance is charming, witty, and fun to be around. When out of balance, it's scrappy, petty, and suspicious. To bring into balance is sobriety. I love that to say to bring this into balance is sobriety because I was literally saying like some people have been seeking Neptune and like and that's I feel like that's the thing with this South Node in Sagittarius. It's because South Node in Sagittarius will have you convinced that you're doing what you're supposed to do. Because I feel like people were running to Neptune thinking that they were going somewhere else, but like where else do you think you're going if you're trying to prevent yourself from seeing what is being revealed as the veil is being lifted? Like what else do you think you're seeking if the truth is being laid bare in front of your eyes? Like that sounds like Neptune to me. You're looking for some kind of illusion because the pretty picture that you had of the world, I guess, is falling apart. Ain't my life. Ain't my story. Let me put this away. I'm kind of sort of glad I did this. Even though, I don't know, they're like, you just take a break. Shoot, why you always gotta be doing something? I'm like, because I can't not do anything, guys. Like, come on. So, whoever watches this video, I hope in some way, maybe, if you've seen me up until this point, I hope I've inspired you to face some of your own challenges. Because I would personally love to see, like people have been facing their challenges and going through the darkness and have been dedicated to come out on the other side. I don't necessarily feel a responsibility to anybody, but I also don't think it's my space or place to remain silent anymore either. So it's not my job to make sure other people are doing what they need to be doing. Did I already do these? I did do this. I read Apocalypse, so let's look at the sustainer. What did I cut to? I cut to the offering, number 64. Excuse me. And then there's that same phase of the moon. That same phase of the moon, the offering. It's literally the same. But what is being offered? 64. So this is an item that we encounter on the quest along the way. So 1 through 30 are aspects of the self, 31 through 50 are settings, places, 51 to 70 are items, weapons, whatever we would acquire on the journey. And then 71 to 78 are like major sort of transitionary periods. So the major transitionary period was this apocalypse, right? It's the truth is being revealed. And at first we feel some whatever, like the card said, from the revelation, but then comes the uncomfort, the discomfort, and like us facing the ugliness. But after we face the ugliness, we're able to rebuild from the truths that were exposed. And so I don't know. I guess it does make me a little sad. it makes me a little sad that, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's like, don't talk about it, be about it, right? I mean, you can't be sad if people weren't about it. But again, like I was talking about in the angel spread, there are many ways to stay on the porch. And so, because the ego also came out when I did that. Like the dragon was all about balancing the ego, right? Excuse me. Oh, maybe I'll be able to sleep. Oh my gosh, please, please let me sleep. Please, please let me sleep. Ah! But the ego death came out in the Ten of Swords, in the back of the Ten of Swords, and there was also an eclipse there. In that card, there was an eclipse. And we saw the knight outside of his suit of armor when all of the swords were in it. And there's something that Russell said in Rustling Around, because I watched a bit of that. It's like Move Over, Twin Flames, Mirrored Souls are here, or something like that. I don't remember. But he was talking about these quantum fixed points that echo and reverberate throughout time. And I was also getting that feeling when I did the this versus that, because what first came out was like the Mother of Cups. I'm pretty sure the Mother of Cups came out. Yeah, it was. And I was like, the Mother of Cups is like the minor high priestess. And so she has some of these like high priestian gifts. High priestess. She has some of the gifts of the high priestess, but she doesn't have the complete picture like the high priestess would. So I was feeling this energy of kind of sort of like a tug of war between the past and the future happening in the now moment. And it was sort of confusing somebody. And that was in the beginning. And then at the end, the high priestess actually came out. And I was like, okay, yeah, like here she is in the spirit realm. But now you're working through it on the mental realm. So spiritually, you already know. Spiritually, it's already done. But physically, you have to reach that space. So mentally, you have to proceed, or you have to lead it mentally for you to really show up physically. And it's kind of sort of like that same energy. But he said there are these fixed points that echo throughout time. And it took me back to whenever I would have my lowest moments. It's like as soon as I would hit the floor, there would be this force that would lift me back up to the surface. And it would just be like so much love and so much hope that would just come at my moments of like my deepest despair. And I remember constantly thinking like, I don't want to make any final decisions and then find out like the next day my life would have changed, because that it can happen that quick at any moment. And so that became one of my saving graces. Anytime I like would sink that low, it's like I don't want to do anything final. And then the next day, like the best days of my life began. And it was interesting that I kind of sort of always had that to help me when I was in my despair. But when I reached my darkest night, it wasn't there. And I guess that could be seen as the moment when I began to create that for myself. And so it's almost like now I'm on this journey to build the life, to fulfill the dream that will then reverberate back into the past. For me to know that it's like this is the moment I'm living for, and I've done it, I've built it, I found it. So I'm very glad I didn't make any decisions. I want to read this sustainer though. 24. Let's see. The sustainer. This is giving me Vishnu energy. The sustainer is the peacemaker, the upholder, and the preserver. The sustainer, the second archetype in the trio of existence, works behind the scenes, tending to the tasks of life. They cultivate gardens, pay bills, keep the meals warm, and the mouths sweetly fed. Okay, I was like, what? The sustainer is at peace in the process of life, knowing there is no start or finish to humble yet. Wait. Knowing there is no start or finish to humble yet meaningful tasks. Hold up. Did I skip a whole line? The sustainer is at peace in the process of life, knowing there is no start or finish to humble yet meaningful tasks. Oh, there is no start or finish to humble yet meaningful tasks. Okay. They have a natural inclination to nourish others, to archive, to preserve the earth's resources, to consider environmental impact, to see their role in the divine cycle of life. It's common for the sustainer to become overworked, leading to resentment. Their tasks aren't glamorous, and therefore the sustainer rarely receives the credit or attention. The sustainer longs to hold things in place so badly, especially relationships, that they resist necessary change. Take time with this archetype. It is within us all and needs our love. So we got the sustainer that actually came out with Apocalypsis. And what card is this? Girl, the lover. There's the lover again. I accidentally pulled the card behind the sustainer. Like everything else is face down because I put these at the top of the deck after they came out, and so the lover is at the top again. So I believe the lover may have been at the bottom. No, the lover was at the top before, and the mountain is still at the bottom. Yep, the mountain is still at the bottom. Ain't no mountain high enough. I actually heard that today. It was on a commercial. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. And when I heard that, it made me think of that initiate when it came out a while ago. And I was like, there's this spiritual chasm that we need to cross as a collective. But I'm like, if that's a chasm on the spiritual plane, like on the physical plane where distances are much greater and things are much deeper, like how are we supposed to get there? But then the Ace of Cups came out, and it's like we swim, right? The Ace of Cups holds enough water to fill the chasm, but our heart would be what gets us across if we have to swim, because water is the sort of emotion, and it's related to the heart. And again, like if you would pull away from the world, when there's that King of Cups again, or that King of Swords. Ooh, the Strength card. Oh, okay. Final message, please. That's how we navigate. That's how we cross. The heart is the only way. And again, with that Apocalypsis, okay. Okay. Ooh, we got two cards, or like three. We got three cards. Ooh. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Wands, which is all about celebrating milestones. And then we got the Father of Cups that came out, the Seven of Swords, and the Moon. Have I mentioned how much I love surprises? It's like since the Father of Cups has awoken, things are now going to begin to play out in ways that we may not necessarily expect. Deeper truths are now in the process of being revealed because this guardian, the protector of that last and sacred sword I'm getting, because it's the seventh sword, seven is kind of sort of a holy number. Or at least it's a spiritual number, if nothing else. So these the spiritual guardian is awoken. These spiritual truths will be revealed because the Father decided to respond to the invitation. You know, this Four of Wands is the invitation to the ceremony. It's like, how are you gonna miss your own wedding? Father of Cups was like, "What? This is my wedding? What?" It's like, yeah. It reminds me though. Was it a story I read? It was a story I read on the internet, and there was someone who was planning a surprise wedding for somebody who did not want to marry her. Anyway, um, yeah, excuse me. The Father of Cups is like I talked about him extensively. The Seven of Swords is that guardian that protects that sacred knowledge until we are ready to claim it. And what was the last card? What was it? The Moon. The Moon is the revelation of everything that has um, been hidden up until now. But again, it comes with us proving that we're ready. And the proving is never necessarily obvious. It's not supposed to be. Because if we knew what the reward would be, it's not what the reward would be. Because a lot of people have been feeling the change. And a lot of people have been feeling greatness coming. But not everyone's been doing the work and facing the challenges that have arisen along the way to claim it. But it's almost like if we knew for sure, whenever it comes to a test or whenever it comes to approving, if we know for sure, it would influence the way we show up. And that can't be allowed to happen because some of these things are so closely guarded. And so it's like it's tests. Maybe this is why I'm all about the principle. Because if something happens in my life, I'm like, it's about the principle. It's not about how big or small it is. It's not about how expensive the thing is. It's about the principle, especially when it comes to my stuff. And I told this dude, I was like, I don't care if this was 3 cents. The fact that you're making me go out and spend 3 of my cents when you broke this says something to me about you. It's about the principle of it, right? Like we went to the dining court one day and he grabbed my spoon, knowing full well he ain't grab a spoon. And then I needed my spoon and he was gonna make me get up and get another one. I was like, really? You took my spoon that I got the first time and now you're gonna make me get up and get another one. I said, no, I'm not doing it. You're gonna get up, you're gonna get me another spoon because you took my spoon. What do I look like going up and getting another spoon? Hello? This is why we don't get along sometimes. He's a Libra, I'm a Taurus. Maybe that mess would have worked on somebody who ain't got Venus in their chart as strong as I got it in mine. But your Venus don't work on me. I got Venus too. And my Venus is feminine, so my Venus is stronger. Right? Anyway. But things like that, it's about the principle because it shows and it highlights things about people. And it's kind of sort of like the same thing. It's kind of sort of like the same energy, I guess. Um, we're never tested in directly parallel ways. Or sometimes we are. But if we get insights into something, it's not going to be in a directly parallel way, because it's like, you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, because Santa is coming to town. So be good, but also be good for goodness sake. And so it's like, okay, well, are we being good because Santa is coming and we want presents, or are we being good truly for goodness sake? And when you've been good for goodness sake is when you get the presents. It's not when you're only good because you think Santa is watching. And the difference may not be apparent in your actions. So if it's not our actions that are observed, then what is it? It's also our intentions, but it's also the space in which we hold in our heart. And some people have good intentions, but their actions don't necessarily line up. It's a very complex and complicated system, but it takes multiple factors, many factors into consideration, right? So if ever, not if ever, but when certain things happen, or if certain things don't happen, just know that there are many factors taken into consideration. So that's where I'm going to end this 3 hour video where I wasn't even supposed to be live. I didn't take a single picture. Actually, I kind of sort of like the thumbnail though. I think it's like my little channel icon thing. So I'm going to leave it as that. Um, I've gotten away from taking pictures for the thumbnails. I just forget now. But yeah, I'm going to end this here. I feel like I need to find a better way to sign off. Because it's like, I do hope people are having a good time. But in these times, I know a lot of people may not necessarily be. And I feel like it's okay for me to hope that people are having a good time. But I want to be respectful. I want to respect both the time that people want to have. Sometimes people want to have bad days. But also, I want to respect the work that people are doing to have the time that they want to have. Sometimes people want to have a good day, but they're not doing anything to ensure that they have a good day. So have a time. Do with this now moment what you will, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna shut this down here. Actually, am I gonna ramble a little bit more? Is there anything that I didn't talk about or finish talking about earlier that I want to talk about now? I don't think so. I think those cards pretty much wrapped it up pretty nicely. And I do appreciate the confirmation from the cards, especially with that apocalypsis and the sustainer. I think that's one of the things that, okay, I thought I accidentally muted my mic. I think that's one of the things that was made more obvious, but some people may not necessarily have gotten, is that, to sit idly by and to not challenge something when everything is coming up is to, in some ways, sustain it, to not call it to, because it's like it's already in a position where it's ruling. So if it's not challenged, then nothing is going to change. So playing an inactive bystander role does nothing to ensure the great change that so many people are wanting to see. And again, that's why some people's light is so important. And it's interesting because there are certain things that, like, if we hold the space within ourselves, we hold it for the collective. But also, it's like, if we all could have taken what we can from the collective and transmuted it within ourselves, then that would do a lot more for the collective than you just isolating and pulling away from it and not doing anything. Because again, we're seeing a larger collective shadow right now. And the way to do shadow work isn't by ignoring it. And that's what I was saying when I was like, treating the fear that arose with the global pandemic and ignoring that and not buying into that is different than when we're actually being faced with like real life shadows. Like I wonder how many people have gone through shadow work just ignoring the shadow and calling it shadow work. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Have a good time if you want, and do things to have a good time. And I shouldn't even say that because people are like, well, yeah, I was having a good time, ignoring it. And it's like, people are going to do what they're going to do. It's not my responsibility. So, bye.